Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. Insecurity in Nigeria has become a persistent and deeply rooted challenge affecting virtually every region of the country, from Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast to banditry and kidnapping in the northwest, herder-farmer clashes or conflict in the Middle Belt, and separatist agitation and kidnapping in the southeast. The nation grapples with a wide array of security threats. While the devastating consequences, loss of lives, economic downturn, displacement of communities are well documented, there exists a less discussed but equally significant aspect: the gains of insecurity, a complex web of individuals, groups, and institutions that benefit directly or indirectly from the perpetuation of chaos. These beneficiaries range from corrupt government officials and military contractors to armed dealers, political elites, and even local opportunists. Understanding who profits from insecurity and how they do so is critical in grasping why efforts to end violence often fail or stalls. Now, it's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name remains Osayiwa Mesali, and today's discussion will focus on the gains of insecurity in Nigeria. Who are the people benefiting from insecurity? Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice to the discussion. You can head onto our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, invite families, friends, everyone to watch the show and join the live conversations right now. When I open the phone lines, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You can also leave your messages on YouTube. As always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. The security situation in Nigeria is a tragedy that continues because it has become an economy. And this was from popular advocate for Nigeria, Aisha Yusufu. We'll delve into all of this much later, but first, let me run off on a break. When I come back, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. Stay with me. All right, I'm going to start with the aide to the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, Kenny Okolugbo, says that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's her own court filings show that the judgment she is relying on to justify her return to the Senate did not nullify her suspension, contrary to the impression she has created in the media. Now, Okolugbo pointed to ground 23 of the Senate's appeal or the senator's appeal in the case Natasha Akpoti-Oduanga versus the clerk of the National Assembly and the OAS, arguing that it contradicts her public claim that she was reinstated by the Federal High Court. According to him, this clearly shows that Justice Binta Nyako ruling did not invalidate the suspension. This means the court found the suspension excessive but stopped short of setting it aside. Her own appeal confirms this. Now, he criticized the senator's action as an attempt to manipulate public opinion and incite a media frenzy. Interesting. I will just quietly move on. All right. Okay, so the United Nations Children's Fund, that's UNICEF, says Nigeria has the second highest number of cases of cholera outbreak in West and Central Africa. UNICEF Regional Director for West and Central Africa, Gilles Fagnio, said that the cholera outbreak in Nigeria had become epidemic. As of the end of June, Nigeria recorded about 3,109 suspected cholera cases and 86 deaths across 34 states. The UN official added that the figure made Nigeria the second most affected country in the West and Central African region. He noted that the cholera outbreak in the West and Central Africa region posed a crisis for children. He said some 80,000 children were estimated to be at high risk of cholera in the West and Central region as the raining season began across the region. According to him, the heavy rains, widespread flooding, and the high level of displacement are all fueling the risk of cholera transmission and putting lives of children at stake. Oh, this is quite scary. You know, I've just noticed that there's just been a lot of changes with the weather, you know, it'll be tough to control some of these things, especially because with the poor state of the infrastructure. That makes it even worse, and it's even worse for people that have been displaced from, you know, their homes. You know, some are not able to even have decent places to stay. So it's almost inevitable. It's just sad. I'm just hoping that the government is paying attention to these things because, again, in the end, these are the important things, not some of the propagandas that have been flying all over social media on ethnicity or no ethnicity, return to the Senate or no return to the Senate, you know, and all of that. The real issue is that our health infrastructure needs serious overhauling. Our educational sector needs serious overhauling. Our infrastructure, you know, needs a lot of work to be done. All right, so I'll move on to my final story for today. After spending $1.5 billion on rehabilitation of the 210,000 barrels per day Port Harcourt refinery, Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that's NNPCL, Bayo Ojulari, has declared that operating it before it was fully completed was ill-informed. It will be recalled that the federal government had, in April of 2021, awarded a $1.5 billion contract to the Italian company Tecnimont for the rehabilitation of the refinery. Ojulari, in a statement by the company, said a review showed that the decision was ill-informed and also ruled out the possibilities of selling the refinery to private investor, contrary to recent reports that Dangote Group was about to acquire the company. He stated that the position wasn't a shift but informed by ongoing detailed technical and financial reviews of the Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna refinery, and the Warri refineries. Whew. I don't even know what else to say about these refineries, honestly. I'm just really hoping that, you know, the government will just be intentional about solving this challenge once and for all. Growing up, Kaduna refinery was the pride of a lot of people because their parents worked in the refinery and it was functioning. You could see the flames up and all of that. I don't know whatever happened, mismanagement and all of that. And it truly cannot be a government-run organization, because if you go and check government-run organization, people just do things anyhow. It doesn't seem like, okay, it's nobody's property, so everybody will do it anyhow. I would really, appeal to the federal government to take a second look at bringing in private investors and just completely handing off, the refineries. Because, if for anything, Dangote has proven, right, that a refinery can work in this country and can work exceptionally well. It's not just even, and it is not even, it's a global standard refinery that can compete with with any refinery in the world. He has proven that. So, it doesn't make any sense. Look at the amount that was given, to rehabilitate $1.5 billion. Do you know what that means? And yet, that refinery is not functioning and somebody is not in jail. A lot of people are not in jail for this. It doesn't make any sense. I would just say to the federal government, I know it's now NMPCL, right? It is now a limited liability company or whatever it is. But, for those refineries to function, the Kaduna, Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, for it to function at optimal level, it will really need a lot of people to hands off and just allow somebody that is a businessman that understands profitability, that understands efficiency to run it. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for a Dangote to buy it, but I'm sure that because Dangote has proven to people that it can work, I am sure a lot of people will be more than happy to also channel their funds to also buying those refineries if it is offered. Let's just move on from these issues around, government people running such kinds of sensitive companies. It's not going to work. It's not with the kind of government structures we have in Nigeria. So let's go on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to discuss the gains of insecurity. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying with us. I want to quickly say that every time I'm discussing insecurity in Nigeria, it always brings me back to the quote of the late General Sani Abacha that says that if insurgency lasts beyond 24 hours, it means that, the government's hand is involved in it. So I will set that as a precedent for the conversation, because we know that a lot of corrupt politicians, they are exploiting insecurity to justify inflated security budgets, often misappropriating public funds through unaccountable security votes. Security contractors and arms dealers also profit from the demand for weapons and logistics, while kidnappers and criminal gangs sustain a growing ransom economy. Even some rogue elements, right, within the military and the police have been accused of colluding with criminals for financial gains. I saw a very shocking video this afternoon where a young man was narrating it. It was all in Igbo language, but in the end, what he was saying, because it then came to interpret that, some people will lead the wife from, I think she was coming from Port Harcourt to somewhere in the east, and, they took her to a police command. So he was saying that for them to say, meet us at this police command, we are police officers and all of that, for them to even have the temerity to drive the kidnapping victim right to the gate of the police station, then it meant that, two things are happening. It's either the police is very much aware of what is going on, or they are so incompetent that they do not have a clue what is going on within their vicinity. For a kidnapper to drive all the way with the kidnapped victim to the gate of the policeman. So these are the things and the arguments that are everywhere, So, and for me, every time those kind of stories come up, it just begs the question, who is gaining from insecurity in this country? Because apparently, insecurity is now an economy on its own that is that is very profitable and highly rewarding. So I'm going to call on my guest, and he's joined me via Zoom today, Elijah Bamidele. Thank you so much for joining me. He's the Director of Operations for Chris Ham International Limited and Security Risk Analyst. Thank you so much for joining me, Elijah.
It's always a pleasure.
Okay, so this conversation, I think, is never ending, because the more we try to make sense of what is going on with security, our security architecture in Nigeria, the more it just breaks my heart. I mean, I saw a video that went viral. I mean, it's not just a video. A lot of people did a video on the young man, the man that they call him the fish magnet that sells fish. I don't know if you saw that video, where all his business is about fish, and all of that. According to the report, he was kidnapped, and after the ransom was paid, he was unalived, right? So that is the reality of the everyday man. So in that video, the person was saying that it's not that people don't want to stay back in Nigeria, to do their businesses. If you even try to escape everything, that your business is thriving, you're also now a potential target for kidnappers, for people. It's just so sad and scary, right? So can you please walk me through, first of all, why is insecurity still lingering as much as it is right now in Nigeria?
Thank you so much for this. When I first saw the topic of discourse, I was like, security gains. I'm like, who gains from security? It's a very big question. But it's very, very broad, actually, because for anything to thrive, it means that there are two things involved. There's a market for that thing. And also, there are people that go to that market to make use or to purchase that thing. If something does not have a market, there's no value for it. It won't thrive. So for insecurity to have thrived so much in Nigeria, irrespective of what the security apparatus or structure is doing, it means that there's a huge appetite for what it's bringing about. So the matter of insecurity, it's always something that makes me at times, I wonder what's really going on in this country. Just a couple of days back, my cousin was coming from the east and was coming to Lagos, and they were almost kidnapped. It's not just him. There are vehicle and a lot of other buses that were coming from the east to Lagos. All of them were stopped along the road, and all of them were asked to come down, and they were with POS. The kidnappers were with POS. And they were collecting money from each of them. If they collect from you, they push you to one side. They collect from the next person, they push the person. If you cannot pay, they send you into the bush, follow them. So it's, and they were wearing, some of them were putting on military uniforms, some of them were putting on police uniform. And it's just hard to know who is who, these days in the country, because it's just very chaotic out there. So like you rightfully said, anything that has to do with insecurity, banditry, things like this, if it festers for a long period of time, it just means there are people that are benefiting from it, in the higher echelons of the society.
This is really... yeah, go ahead.
It's a very sad situation. It's actually very sad because the common man that's just trying to go about, their daily activities, trying to still make, ends meet, just gets on the road to try to get from point A to point B, and is being asked to empty his whole life savings and even still borrow from family to pay for ransom. It's just terrible. Everybody is on edge. People are thinking twice before they move. People that want to go for weddings, many of them are canceling. Many of them are going for burial. Movement now is something that people think more than twice before they go. Especially when you have with a journey of 2 hours. Once it's above 30 minutes, which is no longer within town, people are thinking so hard. Should I go? Should I not go? Is it worth it? What if? What if? There's a lot of questions like that are going on. And that's actually even made the country a bit unbearable, because if you look at the prices of things now, they are very expensive. When you ask these people, why are these things so expensive, they tell you insecurity. They tell you insecurity because they can no longer farm, they can no longer even transport this produce. Let me interest you with something. Are you aware that even trucks and drivers of trucks are being kidnapped?
Wow.
Yes. Drivers of all these trucks that are like the backbone of moving things from very long distances, they're also being kidnapped.
Wow.
Many are being taken off, killed, and the vehicles and the goods are taken to other parts of the country, and those things are sold, and the vehicles dumped or butchered and used for parts. There are a lot of things that are really going on that when you think about it and you wonder, like, what's happening to the country? Like, what's really, really happening to the country?
It's
So
interesting how you painted the picture of the people that were coming to the East, because it kind of like aligns with the story that I watched on TikTok this morning, when the young man was narrating the ordeal of his wife. He ended up that he was even grateful that he even had 5 million, right? And they were all wearing what's it called, military and police uniforms. And the funny thing is that they actually drove to the gate of the police station, right? So meaning that these people, they already have some level of comfort that nothing was going to happen for them to drive all the way, because they called the man and introduced themselves as policemen, from the first whatever quarters, whatever, in somewhere in the east there. So now it tells you that the conversation, because normally, because what he was saying was that when you see checkpoints, you should be comfortable, okay, these are policemen. But now people that are commuting on these roads, they will tell you that it is those people that are even wearing those military uniforms and the police uniforms, or even any security agency uniforms on the roads, are the ones that are now perpetrating the crime of, kidnapping. Look at what you just said now. There is a POS machine. There is, so it means that the transaction can be traced, right? So because what he was even talking about, even the fact that they cannot even go to report to the police because they are not even sure who they are reporting to. How bad has this thing gotten to?
I'm even interested in something. If you go to the police stations now, you see a lot of POS operators that are there. Many of the time, these people, when they want to operate, they just go and kidnap a POS operator. When they kidnap him, they use his machine to collect these sums of money, and they collect the cash from them. So by the time you track these POS transactions, you find out that these POS operators are actually also innocent. So that's why, in a way, the CBN and other institutions are trying to reduce, the daily limits or the daily transaction limits for online transactions, because it's becoming something that is very, 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 it's getting to another level. People are traveling, they just tell you, bring out your phone, transfer the money here, transfer. It's a lot of things going on in the country. And also, I think the IG also needs to really, really look at this whole issue of roadblocks. At times, when these police officers that are actually legit officers, when they leave these roadblocks, the unscrupulous elements come and man those roadblocks, and you think they're actual policemen. So it's a very serious thing. Between that Lagos Benin or Lagos Onitsha expressway, there are a lot of things that go on there. During the daytime, you see the place is properly manned by actual police officers, but during the very early hours of like 2-3 a.m. or very late hours of like 11, 12, you find out that different people just man these roadblocks, and commit a lot of nefarious activities. It's
And
something else.
because in your mind you had seen the police checkpoint maybe earlier in that day, you won't really raise any alarm. No red flag would will come up.
Yeah. So
Elijah,
that's
what
at
do
times
we
you find
do?
that the police
Because
transporters, they just go through, they don't stop. Some of them, once it's night time, they don't stop for all this. They will climb the roadblock. They rather damage their vehicles than stop. So it's a very serious situation going on.
yeah, so roadblocks you really cannot drive past like that because it depends on how the
Yeah.
roadblocks are mounted. You really can't
True.
just drive around like that. But I just want to now ask, right? Because there is obviously, I loved what you said when you started the conversation. You said because for any transaction to happen, it means that there has to be a market and there has to be a buyer, right? And so
Yeah.
now, if we really want to analyze insecurity in Nigeria, right? Who are the buyers? Who are the patronizers of these people? Because again, it's just a lot of things going on. Because we are just talking about the surface one where you're kidnapped and collected, ransom is collected. There are also cases where you're kidnapped, right? And your ransom is collected, your organs are harvested, right? And you are unalived. Because there are just too many things. It's a complete ripple effect. I don't know how we degenerated to this level in the country, right? And it seems like the politicians, it doesn't seem like this thing bothers them, right? Do you see them having any political will to want to even solve the challenges? Or are they part of the people that stand to gain in this insecurity? Because again, there are security votes that they give to every state.
So let me just come in here and say there have been news where they find out that chiefs and people of high positions in the society were caught to have connived with these elements that perpetrate such things in the society. There have been a lot of cases like that where chiefs, a lot of people that are in a position of trust, and we find out that those people are the ones actually supplying information or giving these people cover to come into these communities and perpetrate these events. Look at what is happening currently in Auchi. Auchi has now become a den of robbers and kidnappers. Auchi, that used to be very quite safe, is now almost like a no-go area. And why is it you be in your house, they will come and knock at your door and they will kidnap you. It's no longer you have to travel now in Auchi for you to be kidnapped. They come to your door and they knock and they take you and they collect as much as even 500,000. They're just harvesting. I don't know, when I talk about these things, it makes me at times I get quite heated because society has so much gone to a level that there's no longer trust. There's no longer trust. And it's also because of our judiciary is no longer working. You see, when the judiciary is not working, people that are supposed to be punished for certain activities, if people see that these people are no longer punished, they feel that, oh, they are not above the law. And once people feel that they are above the law or they are not answerable to the law, they have this mindset that they can undo and they can do as they please. At most, they will just give money to somebody in the envelope and, everything is wiped under the carpet. So I think this whole problem stems from our judiciary. Because if the judiciary is doing the work as they're supposed to do it, even our politicians will not do certain things that they do. They won't do it. If you check when this whole thing started, it's not so long ago. It's really not so long ago. But the society got to a point where they look at, people that now steal are celebrated. If you check the younger ones that are coming up today, many of them don't want to go to school. They will tell you to your face, they'll tell you, big auntie, if I go to school, what will I do? There's no work. I'd rather go and do Yahoo, or I'd rather go and do. They will tell you something that will make you wonder, like, what's going on. Back then, everybody said, I want to become a lawyer, a doctor. They will tell you things, a pilot. But now, nobody will tell you these things if you ask them. Go to schools. We go to schools, we do talk shows in schools. If you ask them what they want to become, they don't tell you anything meaningful. Because they've lost that trust in the system, in the society. They look at society and they don't see people in these fields making it anymore.
Wow.
Because the society has degraded And it tells everywhere. Everywhere. You can't go to the hospital now to take treatment because you're thinking, oh, the doctor coming to give me this. I'm not even sure that it's someone that won't pass the exam in school. Is he qualified?
You're not even
Is the
sure of
pharmacist-
you, because I saw a report earlier today where they talked about how the pharmacies in Abuja have been flooded with a lot of fake drugs. You're not even sure of the drugs that you're going to be treated with. It's so bad that we have lost our morality, we have lost our humanity in this country. And you see, as it continues like this, it can only get worse, because as you said, it's no longer even a thing of, okay, I want to travel, right in your house, right, where you are. At some point in Lagos here, Lekki phase 1, they will kidnap you right inside phase 1, very little traffic, and take you to an ATM, and you withdraw money and all of that. It was becoming too rampant. I don't know how they were able to manage to curb it. But when you touched about the judiciary and the fact that people don't get punished, right? It just brings to my mind the former security advisor, Sambo Dasuki, who was accused of diverting about $2.1 billion that was meant for arms procurement under the then President Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. What happened to him? Right? What happened to that case? And these are things that it is continuously, happening. Like, people would be indicted for issues around, bordering around embezzlement of funds that are meant to, either maybe guard something or, secure arms, and nothing happens. Everything is just swept completely under the carpet. They say something around the ransom economy, right? They said the kidnapping for ransom, is become so lucrative that in 2020 alone, over $18 million was reportedly paid in ransoms. Over $18 million.
Between 2023 to 2024, that market alone has generated over 2.3 trillion naira.
Jesus.
Between 1 year. Over 2-point-something trillion naira was gotten from just ransom alone. So that will tell you that it's even more lucrative than some of the business these people do. So they don't even want to work anymore because there's so much money. But where is this money going into? If you find out that most of these people, that when they catch them that are doing this actual kidnapping, when you look at them, you don't see this money. The money is not showing.
It's not as substantial as what is being recorded.
Yes. So they are giving this money to people. They are not taking this money for themselves. There are people that when they collect this money, they hand over this money too. So it's not the people that are kidnapping that are actually benefiting from this money. They have orgas. It's like a cartel behind this thing, a very strong cartel that is benefiting from this thing. And because they are probably settling who they are supposed to settle, nothing can really be done per se for you. It's just left for you and I to maybe come together and say, okay, we want to establish a neighborhood watch, vigilante, because we are the ones suffering these things. These very people, they can take as much as 5 Hiluxes and go for their trips and whatever. They're very protected, bulletproof and everything. But the common man does not have, these facilities to protect themselves. So I think it comes down to the common man, the society, the communities to protect themselves. There are things they can easily get, tasers, pepper spray. There are things you can just use to protect.
Elijah, can you tase somebody that is coming with you with a gun? You know what? Let's go on a break, because you see, the truth is that I really want to hope that we can find a solution in this conversation today. But when you say I should hold taser and pepper spray, will I hold taser and pepper spray with somebody that is bringing a gun to me?
Okay, let me even interest you with something. Do you know that currently in Nigeria, if someone has a gun and someone comes to your house, you have a gun in your house, and someone comes to your house to come and rob you, are you aware that you cannot just shoot that person or see that person?
Why?
Are you aware? You can't. There's proportion of force. So just because you have a gun, you see somebody in your compound trying to come and rob you, doesn't mean that you should shoot the person first. If you go to court, they will ask you, why did you shoot the person first? So, because you have a weapon doesn't mean you can just use it as you please. There are rules of engagement. You understand? So when you hear me say stuff like pepper spray, even people that have guns themselves, they have things there are checklists you have to go through before you engage the person with your arms. If you just engage the person and you shoot the person and the person dies, they will tell you, why didn't you shoot him on the leg? Why didn't you give a warning shot? How are you sure the person was with a gun? Do you understand? They will ask you a lot of questions. If you don't pass this questioning, you're going to be liable for taking a life.
Wow.
So just having a firearm doesn't mean that, yes, you're very protected in yourself, because you must use it the right way. If not, your license will be revoked and you go to court for it. So I think, first of all, before we talk about giving people arms, we should first of all talk about how to identify when you have unscrupulous elements in your community,
in your vicinity.
vicinity.
Okay, let's go
Yes,
on
many
this short
people are
break.
not aware.
Yeah, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, today's discussion focuses on the gains of insecurity in Nigeria. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also leave your messages on our YouTube link. The phone lines are now open, 070-2500-77449 or 070-1424-2420. So I have a gun, and somebody is coming into my house, and I can clearly see that this person is coming to rob me. I cannot shoot the person. Or if I have to shoot the person, I have to shoot the person where it will be to disarm the person, not for the intent to unalive the person. It's all right. It's okay. So, just to touch on that and kind of like start to head towards a solution, what would a government or what's it called, political reform, what would it look like? Or policy? Let me not even call it political. Government or policies, what kind of policies should the government put in place if truly, right, they have every sincerity to want to end insecurity in this country, and they are not part of the people that are gaining from it? What are the kind of policies we would see that would say, yes, this government truly cares and they really want to eliminate insecurity?
First and foremost, if you find out, you will notice that these security architectures, be it the Navy, Army, police, there's a disconnect between them and the society, because the society does not feel that these people are doing enough. So, and they feel that if I call the police now and tell them this, I saw this thing that's going on here, they will tell me, send me money for mobilization, send me money to buy fuel. How am I sure you're giving me? The people, they feel that the people don't act. So there needs to be a bridge, first of all. Like, there needs to be a proper connect between the people in the society and this security architecture, so that they get timely and proper information. Without this timely and proper information, these security architectures, they won't be able to perform their duties properly. That's one. Two, these architectures, they need to be properly funded. It's not just saying on the news we release also amount of money to this architecture to procure this and that. At the end of the day, we don't see what is being procured. They need to be very transparent. Whatever you give these people money to procure, there needs to be an audit publicly. Let us see, you gave them 2 trillion to do this, do this, do this, do this. Let us see these things. And if these things are not done, let us know who to hold responsible. It's not enough to say, the government did. Who was responsible for handling those tasks or those activities? I don't think we pay proper attention to individuals. We just pay attention to government. The APC is not performing. But APC is made up of people, individuals, that hold different tasks and activities. So I don't think people hold these people responsible. Everything just said, President Tinubu is not trying. But President Tinubu is just the president, and he has people that are under him. We need to learn to hold people accountable. If not, we are not actually putting the blame where it's supposed to be. So we need to learn to put the blame on the right place. That's the way we can make impact. If we don't hold these people accountable, we're always saying, Tinubu, this, that, we will not make headway.
Okay, so what about for security votes? How about making those security votes? Because you talked about funding. There is already funds that are set aside, and I've heard that a lot of people feed fat from these security votes. Why don't we start to subject them to some form of audits, and also introduce some kind of legislation that set very strict parameters of how, those funds are spent and reported? Because again, I don't think the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is particularly funding, because if you listen to certain kinds of budgets that have been earmarked for security in this country, you will know that to some extent, unlike other sectors that are suffering, like maybe education or healthcare, security actually gets a lot of funding. But where is the transparency or accountability in ensuring that those spending, it's actually is done and is meant for what it is meant for? Because if not, why would somebody embezzle $2.5 billion, right? And yet it was almost like unnoticeable until, a probe started and all of that. So is it the situation of funding, or the fact that, the funds that are released, nobody is tracking those funds to ensure that it's going towards, fighting insurgency? I saw a video of some police officers. I can't remember where I saw that video. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. Where they were showing some fried fish. And I don't know if you saw that video, and rice tied in nylon, gari tied in nylon, like that. And they were talking about how they were 7 of them, and those 7 of those people are supposed to feed on those 7 pieces of fish and the tied rice and tied gari for a month. Come on. I am very certain that that is not the amount that was earmarked to give those people for feeding. So you see, with corruption, it is corrupt. One place is corrupt, it corrupts everything. So how about we asking, how is this money spent? Why is the security vote or whatever? Why is it not subject to audits? Why are we not checking, and why are they not throwing up the books every month to publish it, to say this is where the money went to?
So I think this issue we're experiencing in the country, I think it's in a very big aspect also reflects who we are. Because truth, at the end of the day, the kind of leaders that come to power in a very big way is a reflection of who we are as individuals. Let me put it this way to you. If you have a business that you're running and you employ staff, and now the staff have absconded with 50 million naira of your money, would you just keep quiet and say, a staff absconded with 50 million naira from my money? Oh, well, if the money will make him better, let him take the money and help himself. It's not a big deal. I will find a way to recover it. You will not act like that. You will go for that staff with the full force of the law. You will bring your lawyers, you will bring in the police, you will track down that staff, and you will recover that money, and you want that staff to be prosecuted by the full weight of the law. But because when things come to public funds, we are not so hard when it comes to finding out what happens. If we do protest at most 2 days, 1 day protest, 3 days, everybody has gone back to the house. And even how many people even partake in this protest? Very few people. So when these politicians look at these things, they'll be like, see them, just give them 3 days, they will enter their house. And at the end of the day, 2 to 3 days, everybody has gone back to their house, and they are drinking their gari and eating their fish like nothing happened in the first place. And they are only coming online to complain. Everything should be on ground. I don't think this social media online thing is actually very effective. If you see or hear something like that, I believe Nigerians as a whole should be able to unite and come out and say this thing is not right, and protest effectively for that thing to be corrected. Not just sit down in their homes and be like, hey, let those people go and protest and tell us what happened. It won't work. It won't work that way. We should stop treating the government like it's public. We should treat it as if it's private.
I love your analogy, and I think that is one of the root causes of the challenges that we have in Nigeria, and it cuts across every government parastatal or every government institution. Is that lack of ownership? You understand? It's not my property now. Now government get them, so anyhowness then becomes the order of the day, because as long as it's not my property, then anybody can do whatever it is that they please. And like you rightly said, as a business owner, even if it was 10 kobo you stole from me, I will go after you. Do you understand? Because I know how hard the 10 kobo I worked for it. Then secondly, I know what the impact of that 10 kobo will do in the bottom line of my business. So I mean, it's a simple thing, and it is the, and you know why I feel like it is hard for us to fight corruption in this country is because As I'm eating the billions, I'm also settling a lot of people. All the people that are meant to talk about it or talk against it and all of that, there's oil at the sides of everybody's mouth. So how can you complain of something that you are also a part of, stealing? It's going to be hard for us to end any form of corruption in this country. It's just going to be difficult. But you were talking about how we can now start to intentionally protect ourselves. And, because again, as it stands, insecurity has become a very lucrative economy in Nigeria, right? Where it seems like they are dropping other things and they are facing this thing, and it's now looking very juicy and all of that. So how do we start to intentionally, would I say, attack insecurity? How do we approach it? Are we to face government? What are we supposed to just do as Nigerians?
So we've tried the government's route over the years, and it looks like nothing is really happening. It's not as if nothing is happening. It's not moving at the pace where you see proper impact. So I think at this point in time, I think private, it's going to be the best thing to do. Everybody needs to take security like their own business. It's not a thing of, the government will protect me anymore. We need to start learning how to protect ourselves and actually investing in protecting ourselves. If you check Lagos and a lot of cities, you will find estates, lots of estates. So yeah, sure, there are so many estates now in states like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and places like that you can't even count them anymore. Why did all these estates come into play? Because of security. Limited assets. You're going to someone's estate, you have to call, you have to go through the security checkpoint, they will check your boots, the person has to call for you to come in. When you're coming out, they will check too. The person has to call the gate for them to allow you to head out. We need to start learning how to put structures in place as a private system, in our communities, in our churches, in our schools. We just need to start taking charge, because at the end of the day, if something happens to you, at most, government will come and felicitate with you and say, oh, wow, 10 people died here today. We're so sorry. People that did this thing will be caught and, brought to books, and things like that. But the lives that have been lost have been lost. And the struggle will continue. So we need to take security like our own business. If along the line, the government is able to meet up to where we are, all the better. But for now, I don't think they are meeting up as fast as they need to meet up with what's actually happening on ground. So I think we need to start looking at ways to, carry people for training. You must not arm them with guns. There are things you can arm them with that are effective to some extent, right? Then when they feel, they have information or they feel overpowered, they can now go and get the police to engage or the military to engage. But if these things are not in place, your society is going to be very porous. Because at the end of the day, many of all these forests and bushes and things, they are not actually combed or checked for this. You see all these very big trucks that are bringing a lot of things from different places. You see people, so many people on these trucks, and at the end of the day, this truck is passing after some borders, and you don't see anybody on these trucks. You wonder, where did these people alight to? Where did they drop off? A lot of things that are happening. These our forests and bushes, they need to constantly be checked. Constantly. Cameras can be put there.
I mean, there's even drone technology now. Like, there are too many things that we can leverage on to be able to really check it.
You see these things, if the police don't have it, if you have a private system that is looking at these things, they have a control watching these things. When they see these things happening, they quickly call the police or the military, see what we are seeing in real time, come and take charge. But the police will not stay there 24/7 and be checking these things for you. So this private system need to somehow meet at the middle with these government institutions, to make things work.
So if we don't stop insecurity at the rate to which it's going, what is it going to cost us as a people? As we wrap up the conversation,
you can see what is happening now. Ghana is having some protests that say Nigerians are too much there, taking over this, taking over that. You see, when you have unrest in your country, people tend to leave. And now, the more people leave, the more they create a society where nothing is going to be done. You understand? So the more we allow this thing to fester, it becomes like a virus or a cancer that's going to be very hard to, take out. So I think we should stop trying to avoid the situation. All of us need to, focus on this situation and deal with it, rather than, oh, it's happening in Maiduguri, I'm in Lagos, it does not concern me, or it's happening in Adamawa, it does not concern me. This nonchalant attitude of, oh, where it's happening does not affected me, because it's still going to come to everybody's doorstep at the end of the day. So we need to all come together now and tackle this thing properly before it becomes a cancer that cannot be taken out, and it becomes a situation of, what's happening in a country like Iraq or Somalia, or all these kind of places where terror is like the order of the day. But looking at it now that, it's still happening maybe in some very scarce places or very few places, but very soon you get to a point where the whole society becomes ungovernable. And it's just pure chaos. What happens at that point in time? We no longer have a country.
That's sad.
To take back that country is going to be very hard. We become slaves in our own society.
That's
so
very
I think
tough.
the time is now. There's no time like now. We need to dwell on now, because tomorrow might not be guaranteed for us.
Absolutely.
So that's just it.
Thank you so much, Elijah. It's been an absolute pleasure, having you on the show tonight. I'm just really hoping that we truly can find a solution to insecurity in this country. And for the government, honestly, if they can find the people that I know they know the people that are gaining from it. So I hope they are able to, truly, have the willpower to want to end this. So insecurity in Nigeria is not just a national crisis, right? It is a thriving industry for certain individuals, groups, and institutions who benefit politically, economically, and socially from the ongoing violence and instability, from corrupt government officials misusing security budgets to armed dealers, insurgent groups, and political actors exploiting fear for power. The country's security challenges are deeply entangled with personal and institutional gains, and these hidden benefits explains why, despite years of military operations, billions spent on defense, and countless security summits, the violence continues, the insecurity continues. Insecurity persists not solely due to lack of capacity, but also because too many powerful actors profit from the chaos. Until Nigeria addresses these underlying initiatives by enforcing accountability, dismantling corrupt networks, and creating real economic opportunities for its citizens, any effort to restore peace will remain incomplete and unsustainable. Ultimately, the real target is not just the presence of insecurity, but the fact that some profit while the vast majority suffer. Breaking this cycle requires bold political will, systemic reforms, and a national commitment to prioritize people over profit. And I'm really hoping, honestly, that there will be some level of sincerity in the hearts of our leaders to end this menace. Thank you so much again to our guest, Elijah, for joining us this evening. And thank you again for us, those that watched us. Please keep sharing the links, and hopefully, we'll keep on, adding our voice to the conversations that matter to us. Again, it's at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. If you missed this very interesting quote from Aisha Youssef, which says, the security situation in Nigeria is a tragedy that continues because it has become an economy. And I think that is just the plain fact of where we are today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening.